We will go on the record in the matter 24 CF 137, State of Wisconsin versus Eliza Mitchell. The state appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. We have Ms. Mitchell appearing in person with her counsel, Jacob Gondik. We're set here today in this matter for a sentencing portion of this case. Ms. Mitchell did plead guilty on April 4th, 2025, to operating with restricted controlled substance as a forfeiture, and homicide by negligent operation of a vehicle. The court ordered a pre-sentence investigation report. The court has thoroughly reviewed that.
Okay, right away. This courtroom is setting a very different tone than your average viral hearing clip. No shouting, no chaos, just cold, methodical procedure. And that matters because sentencing hearings are where emotion and law collide. The guilty plea is already done. Now the court has to answer the hardest question in criminal law. How do you measure the value of a life lost?
Report and the recommendations. The court has also reviewed the alternate PSI prepared on behalf of Ms. Mitchell and defense. In my review, although I am not as familiar with all of the facts that could be contained in the file and about this matter, I did not find any material facts or corrections that would need to be stated on the record. But we are in victims' rights compliance. We have victims here. We're going to have at least 4 victim impact statements. Mr. Schmidt, did you receive and review both the PSI and the alternate PSI?
I did. I reviewed them. I have 2 corrections to the PSI. That is the DOC one. First, they put the wrong date on when the offense happened. They wrote it happened in 2025. It did not happen in 2023. The second correction I have is they indicated that the blood results for alcohol were 0.02. It was not. It was less than 0.02. That is all.
Oh, right. I did notice that date as well. I just didn't highlight it, so it didn't jump out. I did have it circled. As to the lesser than 0.02, I was not definitely aware of that matter. Thank you. Mr. Gondik, any corrections or modifications for the record?
No additional corrections or modifications other than the ones already stated by Mr. Schmidt. Thank you, Your Honor.
Did you thoroughly go over both of these documents with Ms. Mitchell?
I did, Your Honor. We had an opportunity to review both pre-sentence investigation reports, the DOCs, and the alternate, and went over those with Ms. Mitchell, answered any questions she has, and I believe she has a full understanding of both of the documents, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Mitchell, you thoroughly did go over these documents with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you did not notice anything other than perhaps those 2 corrections that would be necessary for the court to be aware of?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, victim impact statements, please. Ms. Bauer, can you please have each of them? They can all come and sit right here behind the little victim table, and then they can come up one by one. If you can please have them identify themselves either by their full names or by initials, whatever they feel the most comfortable. I would appreciate that. Thank you. Well, they can sit all back there. I'm sorry. Yep, just so I know and I can see and I can pay attention. Thank you. All right, again, please either state your name or your initials for the record. You can have a seat, pull the microphone close to you so that we all can hear. And I know that this is a very emotion-filled matter and case.
This is one of the most emotionally difficult parts of any criminal case. Victim impact statements. And legally, these statements matter more than people think. They don't determine guilt that's already established, but they absolutely shape sentencing. Judges hear the ripple effects. The birthdays missed. The empty seats at dinner tables. The futures erased. And you can already feel the atmosphere in this courtroom changing.
And I know that there's a lot of emotions running through everybody right now. I'm going to please ask each of you that if you're going to be reading something, please read it very slowly. If this is something that's going to and it causes a lot of emotion. If you're going to be filled with emotion, you can take a breath and stop. I need to be able to hear and understand everything very clearly, okay? All right, you may begin.
Your Honor,
My name is Deborah Matras, and I'm here speaking today as the mother of Katrina Gail Matras Staples. I wrote this statement to describe how the reckless choices made on the early morning of October 4th, 2023 have changed my life. Since losing my daughter, I have struggled every day. No parent should ever have to bury their child. It goes against the natural order of life. The grief that followed Katrina's death was and still is overwhelming. The pain is indescribable. I continue to experience intense waves of anxiety, depression, and anger. My relationships with my family and friends have suffered, and I often find it difficult to connect with the world around me. Even simple tasks can be unbearable. One of the hardest parts is that the accident occurred just 3 miles from my home.
I'm having a very hard time, and I just need you, I understand that I really, truly, I'm very sorry for your loss. If you can speak up and try and enunciate just a little bit more, please.
One of the hardest parts is that the accident occurred just 3 miles from my home. I pass that location often, and each time I do, the images in my mind are vivid and haunting. There is no escape from the place where my daughter's life was lost. Katrina was and always will be my greatest blessing. Her smile could light up any room. She was kind, compassionate, and genuinely caring. She had a rare gift. She made everyone around her feel seen, heard, and appreciated. The world feels darker without her in it, and the void she left behind is impossible to fill. I not only grieve losing my child, but I mourn the grandchildren I will never meet, the moments I will never share.
Did you catch that line? The generations that were never given a chance to exist. That's the kind of statement that lands like a thunderbolt in sentencing court. This isn't just grief anymore, it's legacy, future, and identity being mourned all at once. And from a courtroom strategy perspective, the prosecution is allowing the emotional gravity to build naturally instead of interrupting it with legal jargon. Powerful move.
With her as a mother watching her own children grow. I will not get to see her walk down the aisle, celebrate her milestones, or hear her laugh as she tells me stories about her own family. Those dreams died with her, and there's an ache in my heart for the generations that were never given a chance to exist. That loss is invisible to others, but I carry it every day. I respectfully ask the court to recognize the devastation this tragedy has caused, and I hope that in time I can find the strength to rebuild, to feel joy again. Nothing can bring my daughter back, however. Justice must be served for the life that was taken and the pain that remains. I urge the court to impose the maximum sentence for the crime the defendant chose to commit. Thank you for allowing me to speak respectfully, Deborah Matras.
Thank you so much. All right, the next individual, please.
My name is Katrina Hawkins. Katrina Matras was my cousin, but she was so much more than just family. She was my best friend. We grew up side by side, supporting each other through every stage of life. We shared countless memories, laughter, comfort, and everything in between. On the morning of October 4th, 2023, I was getting ready for work when I received a frantic phone call from my mom. She told me that Katrina had been in a car wreck and did not survive. I remember standing there in disbelief, saying out loud to myself, "It's not true. She's okay. She's not dead." I kept repeating those words as I continued my commute to work. It wasn't until I sat down at my desk that reality began to set in. I realized I was in denial. Losing her has been one of the most painful challenges I've faced. Katrina was full of life, and she had the kindest heart. She was always looking out for others and lived by the principle of giving without expecting anything in return. She truly was the kind of person who would give you the shirt off her back. A memory that stands out was when Katrina, my cousin Alex, and I were having breakfast at the Poor House in Siren. Katrina had asked the waitress for another table's bill because she wanted to pay for it. I remember Alex turning to her and saying, "Wow, you make me want to be a better person." That was the kind of light Katrina brought into the world. She inspired those around her with not just words, but with action as well. This world was robbed of someone who made it a better place. Recently, I graduated from college. It was a proud moment in my life, but it was also bittersweet. The pain of knowing Katrina wasn't in the crowd, cheering me on, like I know she would have been, was difficult. She was always one of my biggest fans, always lifting me up. Every year without fail, she was the first person to wish me a happy birthday. It was something small, but it meant everything. Now that message won't come again, and that's just one of the many quiet ways her absence is felt. The bond I shared with Katrina was unique. She was someone I could be completely myself around, no masks, no fear of judgment. We had this effortless connection, the kind where just a glance could send us into a fit of uncontrollable laughter. Being with her felt like home, and I miss that more than anything. The reckless actions that caused this tragedy didn't just take her life, it took a piece of who I am. No sentence or punishment can bring her back, but I hope the court considers the weight of this loss, not only to me, but our entire family and community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Asha Matrias. I'm here to elaborate on how the choices made by Eliza Mitchell on October 4th, 2023 has affected me and my family and how it's changed our lives forever. I will slow down.
You just slow down, please. I know that this is, it causes a lot of anxiety. Just take a breath and let me know exactly what you want me to know.
First, I'll tell you the kind of person she was. Katrina was a happy soul full of positive energy. She was always willing to help anyone, especially those she loved. She had a heart of gold. Family was everything to her. She took care of her cousins like they were her own children. When she met my firstborn, I was taking a shower and my sister was about to change him when Katrina stopped her and showed her how to warm the wipes with your hands before wiping their butt. I was so impressed by her motherly instincts at 16 years old. At that point, I knew I was going to ask her to be my kid's wetness. A wetness is the Native American version of a godparent. I was honored that she accepted because I trusted that if anything happened to me, that my kids could call upon Trina for anything. Katrina was amazing. She was the only one in my family who would just show up to visit and spend time with me and my kids. For my son's golden birthday, she saved up money to fly not only herself, but 2 cousins out to Pennsylvania and surprise my son. No one asked her to bring them, but of the goodness of her heart, she left them with some of the happiest memories that will last a lifetime. She never missed a birthday and never showed up empty-handed. Her and my daughter Paisley had a special bond. They called each other Chicken Wing. My children and I always enjoyed the time we got to spend with Katrina. She was our person, someone we could count on. She helped me in so many ways, from babysitting, cleaning my house, joining us at the park, bringing us out to eat, or just hanging out at the house, playing games with the kids. I can't forget the time the times she would help plan, shop, and decorate for my kids' birthdays. She was so much more than a cousin or a best friend. She was my soulmate. She lifted my burdens and helped me through life's challenges. She didn't always know what to say, but her presence said it all. It breaks my heart that she will never have the chance to have a baby, a family, get married, and grow old. I'll never get the opportunity to hold her baby and watch her flourish as a mother. Her mother no longer has a chance at becoming a grandmother. Any future plans Katrina had, from being a mother or continuing her education, was ripped away from her by Eliza's choice to drink and get behind the wheel of a motor vehicle, even though 8 days prior she was given a citation from Burnett County law enforcement for underage drinking and still made the choice to drink and drive. The last time I seen Katrina was Sunday, October 1st, 2023. It was my daughter Paisley's birthday. Everything was normal. Katrina was running late. I remember she showed up with a smile and delivered Paisley's gifts. We hung out, had some laughs, and said our goodbyes and parted ways. 3 days later, I received the dreaded 6 a.m. phone call that broke my heart. Three days later, I received the dreaded 6 a.m. phone call that broke my heart and changed my family's life forever. My mom called saying Katrina's been in a car accident and she died. I remember right after I hung up, I grabbed my tobacco, I ran outside, and I remember standing at the end of my driveway and the clouds giving an eerie vibe, the way they were moving, but it wasn't windy. I tried to carry on with my day as usual, but once I arrived at work, I couldn't focus. I couldn't speak without crying. I left work early and took the rest of the week off to be involved with the planning of the funeral. My children were close with Katrina and I knew they could feel I was not okay. I had to find the strength to tell my kids that Katrina had died in a car accident and we would never see her again. It was a difficult thing to do. It was emotional as Paisley didn't understand and wanted to know why. It was time to start planning a funeral. This was my first funeral to be involved with. Native American funerals have a specific timeline when and how things need to be done. It's a very strenuous, emotional, and stressful process. The pain I felt laying my cousin to rest was unbearable. It felt like the clothes I was wearing was suffocating me, getting tighter, and the pain in my chest felt like a heart attack. I continue to feel the pain. Some days these feelings flood over me. And the simple question, how are you, was just too much for me. I stayed at my mom's in Danbury during the funeral time, and I remember how beautiful the sky was at dusk every night when we got ready to have a feast and a meal with Katrina. It was breathtaking. After we laid Katrina at her final resting place, it was time for me to return home. As I get ready to lay down and go to sleep, I could feel the toll it took on my body. My bones ached. I was emotionally and physically exhausted. I lay there and reflect on the week and how that was it. Never ever again would I get to see her, hear her, or hug her again. It was time to resume back to my normal life, which was difficult because Katrina was my person who I talked to on the daily, whether it be a phone call, a text, or a Snapchat. I no longer had my best friend to share the good times with or vent to get through the tough times. After her funeral and leaving Danbury, I didn't realize how traumatic it would be to return or how much it would sadden me each time I pull into Danbury knowing I won't see her. There were so many times I would sneak to Danbury to steal Trina for a couple of days, or maybe just for a couple of days, or maybe just for a few other hours. Either way, it never felt like enough time. I have avoided.
Wow, that book with no way to turn back the page. Analogy, that's the kind of statement juries and judges remember long after court adjourns. And then suddenly the courtroom breathes for 1 second with the Red Lobster biscuit exchange. That tiny moment of laughter, it's humanizing. In high emotion hearings like this, those brief flashes of warmth actually make the tragedy hit even harder.
Danbury and skip some family events because it hurts to watch my family having a good time without Katrina. Not only have I avoided Danbury, but I have avoided family members because I can't heal them and I don't know how to deal with the pain it has caused our family. Katrina used to bring us together. She loved every one of our family members. I have 2 stories for you. One time we were crafting and she grabs my blank calendar and starts writing birthdays. She had almost every single one of our family members birthdays memorized. And one night we were chilling at my house and she realized it was one of our younger cousin's birthdays. So she called her cousin Des and asked to speak to the birthday girl, and we sang happy birthday. It was in moments like this that happened often with her. She would spread happiness to every person she could. There is many occasions where we'd be out to eat and she would pay it forward and pay someone else's bill. After she passed away, so many people would come to share their stories and memories with me. Not one, not a single soul had anything negative or bad to say about her. Katrina was an amazing person with a heart made of gold. She filled this world with laughter and happiness. Ask anyone, they would tell you the same. If you needed anything at all you had to do was ask, and she was there. Eliza Mitchell made a choice to get behind a wheel of a motor vehicle after drinking, 8 days after getting a citation for underage drinking. I strongly asked the court that she get the maximum sentence of 10 years for homicide by negligent operation of a motor vehicle. Imagine reading a book with no way to turn back the page. How carefully would you read it? Let me put this in perspective for you. Katrina's book is done, over, no more pages to write. No amount of time, punishment, or tears can bring Katrina back, but Eliza continues to write her book. Thank
Tell
you.
me about the feast. I don't know. I know this much about.
At a funeral, the day they die, you have a feast that night at dusk, and every night until the funeral, you eat with her.
And do you eat their favorite foods?
Yes.
And what was Katrina's favorite food?
She really liked the Red Lobster biscuits. There's one, but she had many.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing those memories.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ward Staples. I'm Katrina's father. The morning, October 4th, 2023, will forever be one of the most absolute worst days of my life. As a 16-year active member of the Danbury Volunteer Fire Department, I've seen the worst of the worst. But the morning of this tragic and totally preventable accident will go down as the worst I have ever seen. That morning, Danbury Fire was paged out to a motor vehicle accident 2 miles south of Danbury. I responded to this accident, not knowing what I was about to see. Walked up to the crash scene, and my life changed.
That may have been the most devastating testimony yet. A father responding to a fatal crash as a firefighter, only to discover the victim is his own daughter. You could feel the entire courtroom freeze. And notice something important here. Nobody's interrupting, nobody's objecting, nobody's posturing. At sentencing, the courtroom often stops feeling like a legal battleground and starts feeling painfully human.
My life changed forever. It was a complete nightmare when I realized that the victim laying there was my daughter. I stood there and watched CPR in progress, and any first responder knows how violent CPR is. I can still see her face. I could see her eyes. To this day, I relive that crash scene in my mind, day after day. Nothing's gonna take that away. Took me a long time to be able to talk about this. Counseling, friends, my family helped me. Still, I break down and cry every time. I'm gonna miss her. She used to call me all the time. say, "Hey, Pops, what are you doing?" We'd like meet, talk, tease. She was very funny. And I loved her very much. So I ask, please impose a prison sentence, please. Probation's not enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. You can go have a seat in the back. Ms. Bauer, is that all who will be providing a statement today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. We will now turn to argument from the state. Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you, Judge. I'm going to be recommending consistent with the pre-sentence investigation with one deviation. As the court recalls, I'm bound to cap at the PSI. However, the way the PSI writer framed the conditional jail, they did not give a determinate amount, and they suggested staggering it in a way that I don't think is a good idea. So I'm going to be suggesting the conditional jail should be upfront, not staggered over 4 years. I'm also going to leave my recommendation of the conditional jail to be indeterminate because I don't want to violate the plea agreement because DOC also left it indeterminate. So for what they did put there, I do think the court should recommend I am recommending the 4 years probation, 2 years initial confinement, 1 year extended supervision, stayed and imposed, and then I think the court should do an upfront conditional jail sentence. The sentence in this case must be driven primarily by 3 factors, I would say. The court's heard a lot from the victims about punishment. There's a need to punish Eliza Mitchell because of the tremendous impact on all the people whose lives the victim has touched and was connected to, and the horrors that they have had because of this incident. Imagine getting...
Now this is where the case takes a major legal turn. The prosecutor is drawing a hard distinction between impaired driving and distracted driving, and honestly, it's a smart strategic pivot, because he's basically telling the court, you don't need alcohol for reckless behavior to destroy lives. The black box data, the speed, the phone usage that becomes the prosecution's roadmap for negligence. And here's the uncomfortable question for everyone watching. How many people listening have checked a text while driving and thought, I'm fine for just a